Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 11th of October and welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, let's start with the video. In the video, we'll be taking up the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper along with the background as well as the way forward in the relevant articles will also be taking up. Now, before starting guys, I would like to tell you that you can download this explainer PDF from the Telegram channel. In this explainer PDF, basically the detailed notes of all the articles that we are going to discuss, they have been given. You can follow this particular notes. Fine. You can download it from the Telegram channel. Link has been given in the description box in the YouTube. Moreover, you can visit the Telegram and can search there by typing Thinking Palette by Sahil. Okay, so let's first of all take the overview of the entire newspaper so that we can understand that which articles are actually important for the newspaper. So here we have the first page. Russia launches fresh attack with the missile rates. Okay, so guys, there is a article on Russia-Ukraine war that has also come. However, day-to-day developments are not very much important, but how these particular wars they have repercussions on international scale, we'll see that particular article. Then after that, moving on, SP founder 3 times the UPCM, okay, Mulayam Singh has passed away. Okay, then further moving on, the advertisements etc has been given, not very much important. Okay, then guys, here a draft bill to boost the land pooling has been discussed. So the land pooling policy of the Delhi and how the land pooling policy can solve the problems of urbanization, that particular thing we'll see here. Then moving on, after that, the police should arrest me if I have broken any laws. Not important article guys, fine, just you will be avoiding that. So these advertisements etc that has been given, not important for the examination. Okay, and then the tender etc that has been given. So directly we'll reach to the editorial page, and on the editorial page the first article talks about the Russia's defiance of the international law in the face of this Russia-Ukraine war that is going on. We'll see this particular article. Then the October surprise and the November election. So guys, this particular article talks about the elections in America. Okay, so basically the Republicans and the Democrats, fine, the contestant between them. Now the article is not important for our UPSC examination, so no need to go in this particular article. Okay, then on the side, the battle for the Sena. So guys, the bow and arrow symbol, election symbol, fine, will be going to which faction of the Shiv Sena. Okay, so we have seen that recently the Shiv Sena's factions got divided, so that particular controversy is being discussed, that okay, who will get that. However, in the article, exam related substance is not there, so I'll not suggest you to go in that. Now this particular article is talking about the ISL, that is the Indian Super League. Okay, then moving on, the building resilient mineral supply chain. Now this is a very good article with respect to the infrastructure, GS paper number 3. We'll see this entire article. No relief for the malnourished. So this particular article talks about the recently the a scam that has been unearthed into the MP, which will have repercussions on the hunger. Okay, Indian prisons are stretched to their limits. So guys, briefly we will be seeing here the occupancy rates into the Indian prisons and how they are problematic. Then further moving on, how Xi remade China's party state. So this particular article talks about the Xi Jinping. Now the 20th, okay, CPCs, okay, session is going to held. So we'll see all those particular development in this direction. Then throttled as the grassroots, how to strengthen decentralized governance. So guys, this is an archive article. Archive article means that this article has already got published, okay, but still the article is important, relevant. Article is talking about some of the reforms into the on the grassroots governance that can be done. So we'll see this particular article entirely, a very good article. Then guys, further moving on, Pakistan to take part in the closing ceremony of the SC terror exercise hosted by India. We'll see that what it is talking about. Then after that, the political articles etc not very much important, no need to go there. Okay, staunch secularist consummate politician. So basically the article is talking about the passing away of the Mulayam Singh, and all those basically the important points in his life are being discussed. Now guys, understand one particular thing, that when we talk about the UPSC, so the contemporary leaders or the leaders who have been passed away recently, particularly the political leaders, their life sketches or the questions on their life are not asked into the examination. Okay, so for example, if Gandhi ji is there, if Rabindranath Tagore is there, okay, if there is some kind of a anniversary or some life moment is coming, okay, concerned with them, that is something which you need to prepare for UPSC. But contemporary leaders and their basically life sketch is not important. Then after that, moving on, urban Naxals attempting to enter Gujarat. Okay, so the Prime Minister has said in one of her speech. Then after that, moving on guys, So guys, these political articles, etc., crime related articles are not important. However, there is one article talking about the mental health stigma. Okay, so the Lancet report, Lancet, it is one of the world's most reputed health journal. Okay, and it has talked about the mental health. Fine, so we'll see this particular report as what it is talking about. Then now guys, finally the Nobel Prize in economics have been given. So the Nobel Prize in economics also will be discussing that. Okay, then the Putin was severe attacks after Russian missile hits Ukraine. Okay, so this Russia Ukraine war wala one editorial is also there, we'll see that. Then further moving on, TCS quarter 2 profits have been climbed to 8.4%. These corporate trends, etc., are not very much important. Here it is being said that the rupee might further decline and might hit 84-85 rupees by the end of the March. Okay. Then guys, further moving on, the space economy may touch $13 billion by 2025. So this is one of our report that we will discuss. And then we have the sports page here. Okay. Guys, in the sports page, I have told you that only if the important issues, for example, national games was recently held, we discussed that. But every day, basically the championships that are going on, the trophies that are going on, fine, you don't need to keep a track of those particular kind of things, because in UPSC, when we talk about, okay, the questions on basically some regional trophies, etc., if they go, they are not very much important. Fine. Now let's take all the articles one by one in the detail. So guys, in every class we start with a GS quotation which can be used in one of your paper. So today we'll take the quotation from the notable physicist Albert Einstein. So Albert Einstein has given a very beautiful quote. He says that the world as we have created, it is a process of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking. See guys, the world, is it mental or is it physical? We see the physical world, we see the physical inventions, but the physical inventions are the outcome of our mental thought, the way in which we think the world should be, that particular type of a world we create. So if we want to bring some real changes into the world, we first of all need to change our thinking. We need to change our thought patterns, because until and unless our thought patterns will not be changed, real and substantial change in the world will not be reflected. And when we talk about that we need to change our thinking, it means that our thinking need to be ethical. Our thinking need to be ethical. Our thinking need to be moral. Our thoughts, our value systems should be such value systems which conserve the rights of the other people. Empathy, compassion needs to be the core intrinsic values of our character. So you cannot change the world without changing your thinking. Very beautiful quotation, and this particular quotation can be used in GS paper number 4 very effectively. Ethics. Is it clear or not? Fine. That is something that has happened. This is the quote about. Fine. Very beautiful quote. Please note it down. And now let's take the first article. Okay, so guys, the first article that we have taken up, it is from the regional section. Draft bill to boost the land pooling to the land pooling to be sent to the center soon. Now guys, usually I tell you many number of times that actually the regional issues are not very much important for our UPSC examination, but this particular article is talking about a good concept, that is the concept of the land pooling policy, which actually was brought in the Delhi in 1957, and after that many other states have implemented it, and it can be a good solution for meeting the problem of urbanization. So we will understand this particular policy with respect to the GS paper number 1 issues of urbanization. GS paper number 1 issues of urbanization. Okay, now let's start with this particular thing. Okay, before starting guys, I want to tell you one thing. When we talk about Delhi, you might be knowing this particular thing, that the Delhi, okay, Delhi has its own legislative assembly. But at that same time, Delhi is a union territory as well, and union territory with the legislative assembly, and the legislative assembly has certain restrictions on it. It is not having the full-fledged powers. So Delhi's legislative assembly cannot make law on 3 subjects, that is the police, land, and law and order. So police, land, and law and order are the 3 subjects on which the Delhi cannot make the law. So basically, as the land pooling policy is being discussed, and as it deals with the topic of land, obviously Not the government will be not the Delhi government will be deciding on that, center government will be deciding on that. So here, whatever references you'll be finding, these references will be with respect to the central government. Okay, now let's start with the article. So basically, first of all, what do we understand by the idea of the land pooling policy, what it means? So basically guys, the land pooling policy or land pooling arrangement is one arrangement where the people, they will pool their land and they will give that particular land to a government agency. Government agency will develop that particular land. What kind of a development? Road will be prepared, road will be made, sewage will be made, electricity poles will be erected, electricity connection will be given, community centers, hospitals, public schools, all will be developed. So basically the idea is this. Now you see this particular thing. That when there is an urban city, okay, over the period of time, more and more people migrate to the urban city, and then the city starts to expand outwards. It starts to expand outwards. We see a phenomena of urban sprawl. We see the phenomena of urban sprawl, SPRAWL, where the urban city expands. Okay, so if you live in Delhi, you might be knowing that many of the villages who were on the peripheries or who were on the borders of the Delhi, now they have become the part of the mainstream Delhi. So basically, when the city will expand, obviously there will be certain villages, and these villages will become the part of the city. So basically, the people of these particular villages, they will give their land to the government, and they will say that, okay, if we are giving, for example, 100 acres of land, you return us 40 acres of land to us, and on 60 acres of land you do some kind of a development. It will be a kind of a win-win situation for both. What will be the benefit to government? Government will be able to provide basic infrastructure, government will be able to go for development. Okay, the people who will be getting into the Delhi, okay, or into the city, they will be able to get good ease of living, and in return the people who have given their lands, they will get again back the redeveloped land. There will be the appreciation into their land prices. They can build then houses there. There will be the appreciation of the prices. They can sell that particular land to some other party. Okay, so basically, what is this land pooling policy? In the land pooling policy, the government agencies, just a minute, in the land pooling policies, what will happen? The government agencies will consolidate the parcel of land. It will design the land. It will develop the land. Infrastructure such as the roads will be developed. Schools will be developed, hospital, community center, sports facilities, all will be developed, and remaining land will be returned back to the people who had pooled it up. Okay, and these people then can sell it or can execute the housing projects on them. Okay, now guys, when we talk about the land pooling policy, it basically is a win-win situation for both. Okay, and it is a very good way of the public-private partnership. So public-private partnership is a phenomena where the government and the private players come together and they jointly take the development process. So it is an example of the public-private partnership. Now, in the context of the Delhi, already there is a land pooling policy that is there. So we have the Delhi Development Act of 1957 and the DDA, that is the Delhi Development Authority. It has certain provisions in this DDA Act that it can go for the land pooling. Now, what is the present land pooling policy of Delhi? So basically, presently, the Delhi, it has a voluntary land pooling process. Voluntary land pooling process means, for example, let's take this example. Suppose this is Delhi. Okay, suppose this is Delhi. Okay, and as the population in Delhi is increasing, let's say there are these 3 villages on the outskirts of Delhi. These 3 villages are on the outskirts of Delhi. So basically, if they have to give their consolidated land, under the land pooling policy to the Delhi government, then all the people who have their land parcels, they should agree on that particular thing. They should be agreeing on that particular thing. Fine. Minimum, okay, basically they should be agreeing on that particular thing. So minimum threshold is there. Okay, so that is something that has been provided. As per the policy, whatever land will be collected, for example, let's say 100-acre land is being collected, then 60% of the land would be used by owners of fine for the development of residential, commercial, public and semi-public facilities, and 40% of the land would be used for developing the road, hospitals, other kind of infrastructure. So 60% for residential facilities and 40% for other infrastructure. Now, recently government has proposed the changes in the Delhi Development Act of 1957, and in this act specifically the land pooling policies provisions are being changed. So actually they have brought 2 changes. Okay, Changes are so many, but then these changes are specifically which are not needed to be seen for UPSC examination. Okay, these are some basically such kind of a hairline changes that we don't need to see, but there are two major changes that they have brought. Number one, they say that it is obligatory for all the landowners to pool their properties once 70% of the developable area has agreed to the move. Okay, let's say there was a 100 acre of land that was to be pooled. If the 70% of the owners have agreed, so maximum limit is 70%. The moment they have agreed, okay, the land will be given for the pooling. If 30% people don't agree, that their consent doesn't matter, land will be given. Then this is the provision, okay, the second one, where a lot of controversy kind of a thing has emerged. Now it has provided that center can declare the mandatory land pooling also. What is the mandatory land pooling? It means that even if the 70% of the owners have not given the consent, even then the government can order the mandatory land pooling. In that particular thing, the rights of the landowners will get diminished. Now the government is saying that mandatory land pooling we are doing if there are some very important projects, important strategic projects are there, important development projects are there. So we will pool that particular thing also mandatory. Now this is the second provision. The second provision is one where the people are not very much happy. Is it clear or not? It will say that it might lead to the arbitrary land acquisition kind of a situation also. However, land acquisition is different. In land acquisition, government buys the land. Here, government is not buying the land. Government is just developing the land. So this is something that has happened. Now, basically, guys, as this particular bill was put into the public comment, people have given mixed opinions, but government simply had provided this particular thing that we have received more or large a kind of a positive response. Okay, and this draft bill, the bill where these two changes have been brought, this particular will boost the land policy. Okay, and the center will soon notify this particular amendment. Okay, so that is something that has happened. Fine. So basically, guys, you don't need to see specifically the provisions of the DDA Act 1957 because that is specific to Delhi. No need to see that. But how the land pooling policy can be effective, that is something we can see. It can effectively solve the challenges of urbanization. It can effectively solve the challenge of urbanization and can provide the ease of living. To the people living in the cities. Okay, that is all about it. And now we'll move to the next article. Now, this particular article, it is a very big article, an entire page article. The article talks about how Xi Jinping made China's party state. Okay, so this particular article, guys, has come in a particular kind of a background. We'll see that particular background first, and then the major takeaways of this particular article will be seen. So this particular article will be seen with respect to GS paper number 2, okay, international affairs, GS paper number 2, international affairs. Okay, now let's start with the article. Before going in this particular article as such, I would like to give you some of a background and value addition material by which you will be able to understand what's the importance of this particular article in the present time. Now, basically, guys, when we talk about the China, so Communist Party of China is the main political party in the China. Okay, now the Communist Party of China, okay, basically what happens, there is the National Congress of the Communist Party of China that is held. Now you see this particular thing that actually there are the annual sessions of the CPC, that is the Communist Party, that happens. Okay, and then there are the National Congress sessions of the CPC that are held. Now these sessions are held once in every 5 years. And in this National Congress session of the CPC, Communist Party of China, all the members, or basically all the delegates of the CPC, they come together. So more than 2,000 of the delegates of the Communist Party of China, they meet under this National Congress of the Communist Party. Last such Congress was held in 2017, and this time what's happening, the 20th such National Congress is being held. So from 16th of October, today is 11th of October, or so after 5 days, this 20th National Congress will start. Now, when we talk about this National Congress, first of all, let's understand that what is the logic, what is the purpose of this National Congress Fine. Now the main function of this particular National Congress is to elect the high level bodies. Now there are the two very high level bodies in the Chinese governance, in the Chinese politics. That is number one, the Central Committee is there, and then the Politburo and Politburo Standing Committee are there. So basically in this National Congress, the members of the leadership of the Central Committee will be established, and the leaders of the or the members of the Politburo will be established. Now what these bodies do, what are the function of this particular body? Number one, let's talk about the central. Just a minute. So first of all, let's talk about the Central Committee. Central Committee. So it is the committee which will be setting the policy, okay, for the China for the next coming 5 years. So okay. So basically, what happened in 2017? What will be the focus of China for the next 5 years? It was decided, and now from 2022 to 2027, where China will focus? Will China be focusing on economy? Will China be focusing on geostrategics? Will China be focusing on geopolitics, geoeconomics? Where China will focus? That is decided by the Central Committee, and the Central Committee is appointed here in the Congress, National Congress. Fine. Now, this particular Central Committee, as the Congress will end, this Central Committee will then elect a Politburo. Politburo. Now, what is Politburo? Politburo, it is a body which controls some of the major institutions, major organization in the China. So, Politburo, okay, it controls the important bodies such as Military Affairs Commission. Now this Military Affairs Commissions controls the wings of the military in the China. Then secondly, it will controlling the National People's Congress, fine, or the parliament. And the third is the State Council, okay, the administrative wing, administrative arm of the government. So three most important bodies of the China will be controlled by Politburo, and Politburo will be appointed by the Central Committee that we discussed here. Okay. Fine. Now guys, what happens? There is also a standing committee of Politburo as well. There is a standing committee of the Politburo as well. Now this standing committee is further elected from the Politburo, and it will be taking some of the most important decisions. So you see why National Congress is important. I'll just recap it. Number one, National Congress will set the agenda. Fine. National Congress secondly will select the Central Committee, and thirdly the National Committee the National Congress will elect the Politburo. Okay, fine. Now when the last National Congress happened, that is in 2017, what happened in 2017? The constitution of the China was amended. Basically guys, if you know little bit about the China, there are two very important leaders of the China in the past. That was, one was Mao Zedong, and second was the Deng Xiaoping. Now as we talk about the China's constitution, so basically Zedong and Deng Xiaoping's, their ideologies have been mentioned already in the constitution. Fine. And in 2017, Xi Jinping's ideology also got added in the constitution of China. When we talk about the Xi Jinping's ideology, what is his ideology? His ideologies I'll highlight here. His ideology is called as Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. Now basically in 2012, when the Xi Jinping came to the power, since 2012 Xi Jinping is saying that the new era had started. Is it clear? What is this new era? New era is one where the China will have an important place into the world politics, into the world matters. China will attain a superpower status. Okay, a new era where the China's economy will be rejuvenated, China's governance will be rejuvenated. So this is an entire new era. Okay, so basically Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics. Now what is the Xi Jinping's thought on socialism? Basically, according to Xi Jinping, the socialism will be made more strengthened by making China as an economically sound nation. Are you getting it or not? So basically, this is the Xi Jinping's ideology that get added into the constitution, into the previous National Congress session. Now this particular session is very important. Why? Because guys, now New amendments will be carried which will formalize the Xi Jinping's status. Just a minute. It will formalize the Xi Jinping's status as a core of the party leadership. Core of the party leadership. Now, guys, here the Xi Jinping might also be putting forward the mandate that he will be going for the third session. Is it clear? So, up till now, since 2012, Xi Jinping had held the 2 tenures. So, the third tenure will also be given an approval into this particular session. Now, why this particular thing is important? Why this particular thing is important? Is it clear or not? There is a one question also that has come, sir, how and why is this article important for us? This article is important for you because China is our immediate neighbor, and under the Xi Jinping, India-China relations got impacted a lot. Okay, before the Xi Jinping came, there were basically skirmishes between India and China, but they were not very deep. Okay, and the cooperation also happened between the India and China on many of the boundary issues. But after the Xi Jinping has come, Xi Jinping had changed the entire landscape. Okay, earlier China was not carried with aggressive rise. Okay, they were more characterized with hide your abilities and bide your time. China did not want it to attract attention, but now the China is becoming more furious. China is becoming the direct contender of the power, and all these changes has come under the Xi Jinping. So if Xi Jinping's ideology will more be consolidated, that China will become more aggressive into the times to come. So therefore we need to track this particular development a little bit. Now, basically, the article talks about that how Xi Jinping evolved till now, that is till 2022. So basically, the Xi Jinping came to the power in 2012, and at that point of a time, the Communist Party of China, there was a vigorous debate. At that point of a time, into the Communist Party of the China, there was a debate, okay, that whether the left is more important or the right is more important. Now, the left basically the left and the right. Just a minute, I'll tell you. The left and the right, these are the two factions within the Communist Party of China. Now, the left faction of the Communist Party of China advocates more controls, more state ownership of the resources and all side kind of a thing. Now, the right talks about that there should be more competition, and little bit scope to private sectors should also be provided. Okay, so that is something that is there. So basically, which is more important and which will be more powerful, whether the left or whether the right, that was happening. Okay, now when we talk about the Mao Zedong, inspired the left. Okay, so Mao was in favor of the very strong state control. So Mao was towards the left. And when we talk about the Deng Xiaoping was inclined towards the right. Now you might be knowing this thing already, that in 1978 China's liberalization happened. So our India's LPG reforms came in 1991. China's LPG reforms came in 1978, which was called as the open door policy. And this open door policy was brought by whom? This open door policy was brought by the Deng Xiaoping. So Deng Xiaoping was more inclined towards the right. Mao Zedong was more inclined towards the left, as he advocated more strong state control. He was not very much interested towards the capitalistic patterns and all such kind of things. Okay. Now, what the Xi Jinping will be doing? Will Xi Jinping be moving towards the left, or will the Xi Jinping will be moving towards the right? Now, both the left and the right has an expectation that Xi Jinping will favor to them. Okay. So pro reforms, right. Okay, and preserving the status quo, left. What happened? Xi Jinping came to the power, and Xi Jinping neither became completely left nor became completely right. Okay. Okay, he started his own kind of a brand of politics. Now, the Xi Jinping's power had got has got accumulated because of many important promises that the Xi Jinping made. First of all, Xi Jinping's accumulation of power happened because of the anti-corruption campaign that he launched. So in 2012, the corruption was a very big problem. One of a member of the Politburo, that member of a Politburo was charged under the corruption charges. At that point of a time, Xi Jinping said that I'll remove the corruption, and became very much popular. Moreover, into the mean course of time, what has happened? That Xi Jinping has also eliminated all his rivals as well. Okay. However, the governance structure got changed also, and that new governance structure what got implemented in 2018 as well. The Xi Jinping also promised to bring the structural reforms in the army as well. So when we talk about the People's Liberation Army, there was also big corruption that was going on. He started with anti-corruption campaign, and in that anti-corruption campaign, what happened? He found some of the high-ranking generals. They were running the pay for post-military scam, where they were charging, where they were taking the bribes money. That those particular military generals were sacked. Okay, and many such kind of reforms have also been taken by the Xi Jinping here. So by this particular thing, Xi Jinping gained the popularity, and now the Xi Jinping is further going to consolidate his status as the supreme leader of China. And now the Xi Jinping will also get the approval of extending his tenure. The third tenure of the Xi Jinping will be started. Okay, so these are the implications of this particular National Congress that is going to be started, that is going to be start from the 16th of October. Now, in the coming days, there will be many articles that will come on this particular line. However, every tiny detail is not important to be seen. That what is the relevance here, you should know that. Okay, that's all about this article. Now we'll move to the next one. Throttled at the grassroots, how to strengthen decentralized governance. Okay, now this article will see with respect to GS2, fine, GS2, the Panchayati Raj, just a minute, GS2, grassroots democracy, and the suggestions to enhance the performance of the Panchayati Raj institutions. Panchayati Raj institution, the way forward. Okay, how to enhance their effectiveness. Okay, so that is all about what is there in this particular article. Now let's see in detail. By the way, this article is an old article, was published in 2017, but this year also the same article is very important. I'll tell you the relevance. Basically guys, 2022, we are observing the 30 years since the 73rd amendment bill was placed into the parliament. Okay, so by the coming of the 73rd and the 74th constitutional amendment act, India got the third tier governance institutions. That is, we got the Panchayati Raj institutions for the rural areas, as well as we got the urban local bodies for the governance of the urban areas. So 73rd and the 74th constitutional amendment act brought it. 73rd constitutional amendment act brought the Panchayati Raj institutions. Actually, they were there also in some of the states, but constitutional status was given by the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act to the Panchayati Raj institutions, and the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act gave the constitutional status to the urban local bodies. Now, these particular amendments, okay, they were brought in 1992, and now in 2022, 30-year anniversary we are celebrating. So, guys, when such a 30-year anniversary, 25-year anniversary, silver jubilee, golden jubilee, such kind of things happened, those topics become very important for the UPSC exam in those years. Okay, so this is something. Now the article is talking about that when the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act was brought, it was expected that the democracy will be enhanced in India. Okay, deepening of democracy will happen. When we talk about Gandhiji always believed that the people should be given the power, and the grassroots democracy is the most desirable way of participation. That was the view of the Gandhiji, and that Gandhian thought was brought in practice by bringing the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act. Now, it has been provided that since, now this is guys actually a very big achievement of India, since the Panchayati Raj 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act got passed, 32 lakh representatives are being elected every year from this third tier, 32 lakh elected representatives we have. This is the biggest such exercise in the democracies around the world. 32 lakh local representatives are getting elected every year. Now, this is something good, but at the same time, what was expected out of the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act, that has not happened. Now, when we talk about Indian Constitution, devolution has been envisioned by the Constitution. Now, devolution, okay, it is not just the delegation, okay, it has been provided that when we talk about the devolution, okay, we understand that it is just the delegation of responsibility. It says that, just a minute, it is provided that governance functions are formally assigned by law to the local governments. Okay. Now, when we talk about a delegation, not just you need to give the functions, but you also need to give them adequate financial resources, adequate human resources, adequate physical resources. Then proper devolution will happen. Most of the times what had happened, a function has been given to a body, but all the due powers that they need, they have not been given. So basically it has been provided that in a constitution what will be effective devolution. What will be effective devolution? Effective devolution is when there is governance functions that are formally assigned, and apart from that they are also backed by the adequate transfer or a basket of financial grants, tax handles, and all these kind of things. All the powers which they need to carry their responsibilities, if they are given, then effective devolution has happened. Not just you give them some functions, but give them powers also. That is something. But in India, has there been the effective devolution? No. There are certain challenges that had come in India. So in India, when we talk about it, the article says that effective devolution has not happened. Real powers have not been transferred into the hands of the Panchayati Raj institutions or the urban local bodies. Now, most of the times there is one reason that is given that why it has not happened. Now, what's the reason that's given? Just a minute. So basically it's being provided that actually the constitution has mandated the panchayats and municipalities. They will be elected every 5 years, and at the same time the constitution has provided that the state will devolve the functions and responsibilities to them through the law. Now many of the people say that this provision is actually a problem. When you have designated the states might not give the functions to the panchayats many number of times because their own authority will get diluted. That is a reason that is given. But guys, it is not correct. It has been provided that when we talk about India, in India we have diverse habitation patterns, we have diverse political history, there are social customs, there are norms, there is a social history that is very much different. And if every panchayat will be given an absolute power that they themselves should decide what is to be done, what is not to be done, then basically what will happen? There will be no decorum. Okay, there will be no uniformity. There will be a lot of haphazard things that will happen. So therefore the states have been given the right that they will assign the functions to the local government so that a kind of a uniformity is there. Okay, so this was the reason. So you cannot say that only because the state were given the power to devolve the function and that the states have not devolved, this thing has failed. No, that is not the thing. Actually, there was a study for the 14th Finance Commission, which was constituted by the Center for Policy and Research. Okay, so Center for Policy and Research carried a study for whom? For the 14th Finance Commission. And there they have provided that actually the states have formally devolved the power with respect to the 5 core functions to the panchayats. What are these 5 core functions? The function of water supply, sanitation, roads and communication, street light provision, and the management of community assets. Okay, these 5 subjects, which are most important subjects for the village panchayats, these 5 functions have been given effectively by the states to the panchayats. So you cannot say that the states are at wrong or completely. There are certain other key issues that have come in this particular direction. Now let's discuss what these key issues are. Number one, the volume of money set apart for them is inadequate to meet their basic requirement. Now you see, you have given them 5 functions, for example, water supply function, sanitation, road and communication, street light, but the money that has been given, it is not sufficient. They cannot take all these functions in that money. Second, the money that has been given, it is inflexible means, now you see this thing, that all the villages will not have the same problem. One size fit all is not true. Some areas will have different problem. Okay, but the money that is being given, it is inflexible. It means that if money has been given for one purpose, it cannot be used for some other purpose, but that is wrong. Such independence should have been given. In the case of untied grants, even which is given by the Union and the State Finance Commission, their use is constrained through the imposition of several conditions. I want to explain you 2 concepts. There is one, the concept of tied grants, and other is the concept of the untied grants. Okay, now what is the difference between the tied and the untied grants? Basically, the tied grants are those that money which will be used for a specific purpose only. Beyond that, the money cannot be used. Untied grant, it means the money that can be used for any purpose. Untied grant mean the money that can be used for any purpose. Now the untied grants are being given by the union government at the finance commission, but they can be availed only when they meet some specific conditions. For example, these many houses should be covered under the piped water connection, okay, or this scheme should be implemented first. So certain conditionalities have been imposed. So therefore, often the financial capacity of the panchayats is not very much good. Then third, it has been provided that there is very little investment that has been done. There is very little investment that has been done in enabling and strengthening the local government to raise their own taxes and user charges. Now, you take the example of the urban local bodies, okay. The property tax. Property tax is one way by which the urban local bodies can collect that particular money, but they have not been given the capacities, okay. Moreover, there could have been also many new subjects also that should have been given to the urban local bodies and the panchayats by which they should have raised their revenues, but such powers are not being given. A, very less powers have been given. B, even if the power have been given, they have not been utilized. Why? Because they don't have capacity to utilize it. Then fourthly, local governments, they don't have staff to perform even the basic task. Fine. So they don't have the required manpower. Now, there was one editorial that came approximately 1 year back, and I discussed it also with you, that the urban local bodies, the urban local bodies and panchayats, they need to have their own chief engineers, they need to have their own planners, they need to have their own hydrological engineers, so that they can effectively design the policies, but they don't have such kind of a staff. Okay. Moreover, sometimes the staffs are provided to them by the district administration, by the DM's office, etc. They are provided the staffs. Okay. Staffs are hired by the higher level departments and they are given to the local governments on deputation. But these staffs don't feel that they are responsible to these local bodies. That is something that has happened. And finally, there is also one more big problem that has come, is that basically there's a violation of the constitutional mandate. Now, every 5 years, the members of the panchayat are to be elected, but sometimes the elections have been postponed. Okay, elections have been postponed. So what have happened? The states have postponed the elections. In 2005, the Gujarat government postponed the Ahmedabad corporation election, and after that, Supreme Court bench provided that in no circumstances these elections could be postponed. These elections have to be conducted, but still many of the states from time to time has postponed these particular elections. And then the final challenge that is coming is that union government. Now, what union government has done, often in the name of the technology, using technology, okay, they had centralized the service delivery. Now, the panchayat offices, they have just become the front offices for the several of the union government program. I want to just give you one example. Guys, if you remember, okay, and it will be good if you remember, please type in the comment box if you remember this article or not. So few, I think weeks back, or I think couple of months back, we have discussed one article where in the MGNREGA, there was a new national monitoring software that was implemented. So it was provided that the attendance for the MGNREGA will be done on a software, Now, earlier, the muster roll, a physical muster roll was prepared, and in that, the panchayat used to play a very important role. But as the technology came, what happened? The panchayat's role simply got removed from that particular thing. So this particular point is saying that many times union government many times, into the name of using technology, okay, they are centralizing the schemes. The panchayat's rule or panchayat's power simply got wiped out. That something happens. Now, what can be the way forward in this particular direction? So the way forward is that first, the Gram Sabhas and the ward committees, they need to be revitalized. Now, when we talk about the Gram Sabha, what is a Gram Sabha? Gram Sabha, it is an association of the voters. So all the people who are the eligible voters, they will be constituting the Gram Sabha. Okay, they'll be constituting the Gram Sabha. Now, what we focus that there should be effectiveness into the Gram Sabha, and that effectiveness, we think that only if there will be the regular meetings that will happen, automatically the effectiveness will come. So some cosmetic changes have been provided from time to time. For example, videography of their meetings. Now, this videography just wants to prove that Gram Sabhas are happening. We just don't want to make sure that Gram Sabhas are conducted, but what decisions are being made there, what deliberations are coming into these Gram Sabhas. These are something that are also to be made sure. So therefore, within the Gram Sabha, smaller discussion groups are needed to be created where everybody can participate. Then there are basically through the SMS, through the social media groups. Okay, the discussion between the members of the Gram Sabha needs to be carried. Then secondly, it has been provided that the panchayats, they are burdened with a huge amount of work which are given by the other government departments to them. So district administration, government departments are giving much work to the panchayats, and they have to do that particular work, but they are not being compensated for the administrative cost. They are not being compensated for the administrative cost that is being incurred on them. Clear? So therefore it's being provided that you reduce the burden of the gram sabhas, you reduce the burden of the gram sabhas and give them the money also for the workers purpose that work they are doing. Now the gram panchayats, fine, without giving them the power for the local taxation, they will not be very much effective. Now sometimes I told you that the local governments are reluctant to collect the property tax. Why? Because if they collect the property tax, the people will get angry and in the next time they will not vote for them. Okay, so basically such capabilities are needed to be provided to the district, to the panchayats, to the urban local bodies, so that they can collect such kind of a taxes more effectively. Is it clear or not? Fine. So this is something that has been provided. Okay. Moreover, the voters, they needed to be given an assurance that their funds, if collected, will not be misused also. So guys, this particular article, I will say it is a 5-star article. I will say it is a 5-star article. Why? Because number one, it has dealt very elaborately the problems. Okay, the problems has been elaborated in such a manner that you can write it directly in the exams. And secondly, they has also talked about the way forward. So very good article. Please note it down. That's all about this article. And now we'll move to the next article. Russia's continued defiance of international law. Now, this particular article, guys, we'll see with respect to the GS paper number 2, international issues. Within that, Russia-Ukraine war, we'll see this particular article. Okay. Now, basically, guys, what has happened? The Russia, it is now, there are so many months that have happened. This Russia-Ukraine war is continuing, and the Russia has continued to use the military offensive against the Ukraine. Recently a resolution was adopted by 141 countries in the United Nations General Assembly, where the Russia was condemned. It was demanded that Russia should immediately withdraw from the Ukraine war. Russia should end this particular war. This resolution was passed, but United Nations General Assembly resolutions are not binding, so therefore Russia might not follow it. But International Court of Justice, if it gives some kind of a decision, it is binding, and that Russia has to adhere. But still, Russia might not even adhere to that also. Now you see this thing, that guys, when we talk about the Russia's invasion on Ukraine, this war started, and now there are the news reports that had come that Russia, it is indulging in the war crimes. It is indulging into the war crimes in the Ukraine. So what has happened? There are the human right violations that had happened, okay, by the Russia in the Ukraine. Moreover, guys, there is one illegal referendum that has also been carried. We'll discuss about that. Now, as the war crimes are being carried by the Russia, Ukraine has moved to the International Court of Justice, the International Criminal Court, European Court of the Human Rights, okay, to put the Russia, to ask the Russia that Russia should give up such kind of an exercises, but it is not expected that Russia will be hearing to them. Now, recently what has happened? Russia had captured Ukraine's 4 of the provinces. So, Donetsk, Luhansk, okay, Zaporozhye and Kherson. Okay, so this is Kherson, this is Zaporozhye, this is Donetsk, and this is Luhansk. Okay, now these particular provinces were the integral part of the Ukraine. Now these particular provinces have been captured by the Russia, and Russia had justified that these regions have themselves joined with the Russia, okay, and they have carried a referendum. And by that referendum they had joined the Russia. But the United Nations Secretary General has very clearly provided that this particular referendum cannot be called as legitimate. Why? Because when the referendum happened, okay, these areas were under the Russian occupation. So we don't know whether it was a fair referendum or not, whether it was fair or whether the Russia had played some kind of a dubious role in that. We don't know. So therefore this referendum is not legal, this referendum is not correct. Okay. Now, as Russia had illegally captured the Ukrainians' territories, it is called as belligerent occupation. It is called as belligerent occupation in the international law. And the rules on the belligerent occupation has been explained in the Hague Convention of 1899. So, what is belligerent occupation? When some another country occupies the territory of some when a country occupies the territory of some other country, that is the belligerent occupation. Now, in this particular Hague Convention of 1989, Hague Convention of 1899, the rules have been provided. What are the rules? As per the convention, if the authority of the legitimate power so, as per the convention, if the authority of the legitimate power over the territory has been passed into the hands of an occupant, the latter shall take all the steps to re-establish and ensure public order. So, it gives a power. Now, what has happened? Who's a belligerent nation? Russia is a belligerent nation. And Russia has taken the territories of the Ukraine. So, it says that the Ukraine has all the right that it can take back that particular power from Russia. Okay, so this is something that has been provided. But guys, we need to understand that actually Russia is having so much of the military power. Will the Ukraine be able to take that? That is a kind of a doubtable thing. Now, as this particular Russia-Ukraine war is going on, in the background, nuclear war threat is lingering all around. Okay. Now you know this particular thing that Russia, or basically recently Russian President Putin very clearly said this thing that if they have to win a war, they might not hesitate even using the nuclear weapon. Now this is something that has happened. Moreover, at the same time, Russia and Ukraine, they both have not signed the treaty on the prohibition of the nuclear weapons. So they might use that particular thing also. Fine. Now in this particular time, UN Charter is to be used. So UN Charter provides the right of individual and collective self-defense. Okay. So it now if the nuclear attack is carried on Russia on the Ukraine, then not only the Ukraine, the countries into the region, they can also go for a counter attack on the Russia in self-defense. So the Western countries, the NATO members, they can do a counter attack on the Russia as a matter of their self-defense. And if this particular thing will happen, guys, this will be a very deadly thing that will come. Okay, the world will turn into a nuclear war. There will be a nuclear war that will be started. So therefore, it's being provided that, see, now there are the ultra realist foreign policy leaders. Okay, they'll say that there is an irrelevance of the international law. Okay, international law has been failed. International law is not very much effective because it was not able to control the Russia. But that is not correct. International law still has its own utility, and we need to make sure that it is being followed by the legitimate channels, the countries, the responsible countries. They need to take some initiative in this particular direction. So that is all about this particular article, and now we'll move to the next article. Okay, building resilient mineral supply chain. Now this article will see with respect to the GS paper number 3. GS paper number 3, industry, infrastructure, okay, and issues related to Indian economy. Now, basically guys, understand this particular thing. First of all, the background. Okay, now from 2020 we have come out with the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. And as this Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan has been taken over, we want to achieve the self-reliance. And we want to achieve the self-reliance particularly into the clean energy. Okay. And for the clean energy, we need the clean energy technologies. Now, you might be knowing this particular thing, guys, that today when we talk about our energy security, 85%, it is 82%, but to round off, 85% of our oil and half of our gas is imported. So are we self-reliant? No, we are dependent on other countries for the energy security. So therefore, the clean energy, the solar energy, the clean wind energy, okay, that is something that we need to have for our own sake. Clear? That is something. Now when we talk about the clean energy technologies, or when we talk about the clean energy, they require the critical minerals. These critical minerals are called as the rare earth metals, as well as other critical metals and minerals. Now there are some very critical minerals such as the lithium, cobalt, nickel, rare earth metal, they are very much critical for building the resilient supply chains for the clean energy technology. These minerals are needed for the clean energy. Now guys, when we talk about the rare earth materials, what are the rare earth materials? So the rare earth material, it is a group of the 17 elements. They are characterized as the light rare earth materials. They are characterized as the light rare earth materials and the high rare earth elements. Okay. Now, some of the rare earth elements are found in India also. Okay. However, there are some other rare earth materials. Okay, such as the dysprosium, terbium, europium. Now they are called as the high rare earth elements, and these high rare earth elements are not available in the Indian deposits, in the Indian extractable quantities. In extractable quantities, we don't have it. Now the China is one which is having a kind of the China is having a lot of rare earth materials. Today, when we talk about the rare earth material supply, 70% of the global production, 70% of the global production of the rare earth element, it is happening in China. So today China has so much authority. Now these rare earth elements, they have unique magnetic, okay, luminescent, electrochemical properties, and therefore in battery components, in electronic vehicles, in solar modules, or in these new emerging clean technologies, these rare earth metals, they have a lot of importance because of their unique magnetic, luminescent, okay, magnetic, luminescent, and electrochemical properties. Now here I have given you the list of the 17 rare earth elements. Fine, you can read that. Fine, but remembering all the 17 is not very important. Now there are certain of the challenges that come in the extraction of the rare earth minerals. Number one, basically the rare earth reserves, they are concentrated in regions which are geopolitically very sensitive, and they are faring very poorly onto the ease of doing business perspective. So there are some of the African countries where rule and order is very much disturbed, okay, where the government is not able to have a very good command, okay, fine, or the states where the autocracies are still there. Fine, in such of the regions there are very big resources of the rare earth, but they cannot be exploited. Then the portion of existing production is controlled by the geostrategic competitors. Now for example China, first of all China in their own country, they have a lot of control on to, they have a lot of rare earth deposits. In other countries also, when there are critical minerals that are there, China has signed the agreements with those countries, and they have taken their rare earth and their critical minerals mines under their control. For example, cobalt mining is done in the Democratic Republic of Congo, okay, but this cobalt mining projects have been taken up by the China by the equity investments and by the Belt and Road Initiative. So by Belt and Road Initiative and by giving direct money to the Congo, these projects have been taken by the China. Third issue that coming here is that basically the future mine production is tied with the offtake agreements. Now what is offtake agreements? See, a mining project has started. In advance there will be the agreement that will be done by the governments that okay, whatever the mineral will be produced, these governments will procure that particular thing. So the advance agreements have been signed. Now if the advance agreements will be signed on all the rare earth or on the critical minerals that are being extracted, India might not be able to take their fair share. Okay, now what can be the suggestions? Okay, so guys, the suggestions will be something like this, that what has happened already, government of India has established the Khanji Bidesh India Limited Kabil 2019. Now the Khanji Bidesh India Limited Kabil, its mandate is to secure the mineral supply for the domestic markets. Now for example, for our domestic markets, for our electrical industry, for our electronics industry, if we want to manufacture the solar modules, solar panels, we need certain critical minerals. So the Kabil's responsibility is that Kabil will be ensuring that the supply is ensured, okay. Now, basically, it's being provided that number one, the Kabil needs to figure out that how much minerals are required by the domestic industries and which type of minerals are required. What are their future expansion plans for that? What minerals in what quantity they require the minerals? Okay, so we need to in this particular thing there are certain ministries that should also come together. For example, Ministry of Power, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Heavy Industry, Science and Technology. They should all come together and they should identify that what is India's requirement. Secondly, Secondly, the government should coordinate with the domestic industries that where strategic interventions by the government would be necessary. Okay, are there any areas in India where there are are there are certain areas in India where these minerals are there, and what kind of interventions we can do there, how we can explore such kind of a minerals. Kabil could collaborate with industry to bolster its market intelligence capabilities for tracking global supply side developments. Okay, so in the world, now I told you now that there are many of the offloading agreements that are being signed. So what is the condition that is on to the world scenario, that is also to be tracked. Then conducive investment opportunities. Thirdly, if conducive investment opportunities don't exist, Kabil should preemptively sign offtake agreements with the global mineral suppliers. Fine. Fine. So if there is the capabilities not in India, we need to identify the global players which can provide us the critical minerals and should sign the offtake agreements with them. And then it's provided that government should invest in mining assets with geostrategic partners. Okay, so the Ministry of External Affairs should sign such kind of agreements with the other governments where we can basically sign an agreement where we'll develop some mine and we'll get that mineral in return. So such geostrategic agreement should be signed with the governments of other countries. Then we should support the technologies that utilize the domestically available materials. Okay, so domestically available materials that we have now, sometimes materials are not extractable because of the present technology, so upgrade the technology. Fine. Sodium ion batteries could reduce the requirement of sourcing minerals from beyond the India's borders. So domestically available technologies to be leveraged. Then the next is providing is that urban mining needs to be focused, recycling of the mineral inputs from the deployments that have completed their useful life. Okay, so let's say you have a laptop. Now now there is a laptop and you don't want to use that particular laptop because it has completed its end life. So in this laptop there will be many of the recyclable components that can be used in some another kind of an equipment. So basically the equipments which have completed their end life, they should also be procured. And finally, it has been provided that actually if this Ukraine war will be carried, what will happen? If this Ukraine war will be carried, the multilateral cooperation will fall down. Okay, there will be many of the repercussions on the international politics that will come. So India must immediately and decisively mitigate, find these risks. Okay, so the confrontations, the rivalries that are going on in the world, it will disturb the world order further. There will be insecurities that will come. India's global supply chains might get impacted. Okay, so here also India should focus. So these are, guys, all the articles, all the important dimensions of this particular article. And now we'll move to the next article. Okay. Still no relief for the malnourished. Guys, this particular article, it is a state of the play article. It is talking about the affairs of the Madhya Pradesh recently, where basically it was unearthed that the corruption is going on, with respect to the nutrition schemes there, and by that the malnutrition might increase in Madhya Pradesh. So this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, issues of hunger. GS paper number 2, issues of hunger. Even in GS paper number 1 we can utilize it. Now basically the article says this thing, that the Madhya Pradesh, since the launch of National Family Health Survey 1, the Madhya Pradesh is struggling to tackle the problem of malnourishment. Now the malnourishment has been very big here, and that malnourishment is not because the food is not available, but that malnourishment is because of the corruption that has been there. Okay, so there have been irregularities in the identification of beneficiaries. Fine. Production, distribution and quality controls are problematic. Free food scheme for the school children that was there was a lot of corruption that has been found. Now basically recently it has been unearthed that basically it was found that there was the large scale corruption that was going on in the take home ration scheme of the Madhya Pradesh government. Okay, first of all, the Madhya Pradesh's nutritional indicators are very poor. I just want to tell you these nutritional indicators first. Now, according to the National Family Health Survey 5 that was recently released, infant mortality rate in Madhya Pradesh was 41.3. What is the national average? National average is 35.2. What is infant mortality rate? Infant mortality rate means the number of children who are dying before completing the 1 year of their life. So the children who are dying before the first 365 days, that is called as the infant mortality rate. It is calculated per 1000. So 41.3 children are dying out of 1000 live births before the 1 year. National is 35.2. So MP is high than that. Okay, then 72.7% of school children in Madhya Pradesh, they are anemic. They are anemic. Okay, so when the consumption of leafy vegetables is not there, okay, when the iron consumption is not adequate, the anemia as a problem manifest. Now the national average is around 67.1%. National average is around 67.1%, but against that, Madhya Pradesh is having anemia of 72.7%. Very high number. So therefore, now when we talk about the anemia, okay, high, IMR, it is very much high, MMR even very much high. So therefore, the Madhya Pradesh needs to specifically focus on the eradication of hunger, the empowerment of women and all those kind of things. Okay. Now, when we talk about the take-home ration scheme, now the take-home ration scheme, under this, the food grains are provided to address the nutrition of the children, that is children from 6 months to 3 years. The nutrition of pregnant women is to be addressed, lactating mothers, and out of the school adolescent girls. Now, adolescent girls, the girls between 11 to 14 years who have dropped out of the school, they should also be given the nutrition. So, therefore, these people, that is for the mothers, lactating mothers, pregnant women, okay, and the adolescent girls, girls between 11 to 14, they are given the food that they can take it home. That is the take home ration scheme. Okay, now guys, why the girls of 11 to 14 years are being included? Because basically around this particular age of 11 years, 11 to 14 years, many of the girls, they drop off the schools. Okay, many times very basic reasons are there, because the clean water was not there, clean toilet was not there, the girls drop out of the schools, but still their nutritional security is also to be kept intact. So therefore they are provided the take home ration card, take home ration schemes. Now basically, as these girls will be deprived of the midday meal, obviously, because they are not coming to the school, they are given the food. But there is a lot of corruption in this particular scheme that has happened. Okay, many of the beneficiaries who were not actually getting the food, their names were shown and the food got diverted, food got pilferaged. Okay, now the experts say that since the National Family Health Survey 1 that came in 1992-1993, the Madhya Pradesh condition is not good. Madhya Pradesh is not bringing the sustainable solutions. What is actually happening? Okay, Madhya Pradesh is thinking that simply by supplying the food, okay, will solve the problem. But apart from that, hunger is an interplay of many things. Okay, interplay of many things: gender, caste, lack of sanitation, poor maternal health, early marriages, lack of access to land and other resources. Many such kind of things exacerbates the problem of hunger. Okay, so basically the hunger is needed to be dealt in a multi-dimensional way. Moreover, there are the corruption that is happening. So basically, in the Madhya Pradesh, there is a need that nutrition-centric micro-planning is needed to be taken up. Okay, how the food's nutrition can be, just I want to provide you this thing. Let's take one example. Suppose, guys, actually when we talk about the balanced diet, there are the three macronutrients. Okay, now these three macronutrients are carbohydrate, fat and protein. And then there are 23 micronutrients, which are the minerals and many vitamins that we have. So basically, the point that is coming here is that you should just suppose you are providing only rice to a person. You are only providing the rice to a person. Now, rice is a very good source of the carbohydrate, but not a very good source of the fat, as well as not a very good source of the protein. Now a person can get the entire day's calorie out of the carbohydrates, but that will not be a balanced diet. So a balanced diet is one where the carbohydrates, fats, proteins and all these 23 micronutrients are being provided. Now when the food is being provided, just the quantity of food is being focused. It's not being focused whether all the three macronutrients and micronutrients are there. Sometimes, guys, the girls, they particularly are not given the nutrition because of the patriarchal norms that are going on. Okay, so girls should get better accessibility to the food. Actually, the food is being consumed by the girls themselves. These are some things that are needed to be seen, but that is something missing. So in this particular direction, guys, the deep-rooted reforms are needed in Madhya Pradesh, and such episodes of the corruption should not happen. So that is all, guys, about this particular article, and now we'll move to the next article. Okay. Indian prisons are stretched to their limits. Now, you don't need to go in detail in this particular article. This particular article is just talking about the overcrowding that is going on in the prisons. So, just two charts you need to see. Now, guys, first of all, this red line, it shows the actual number of prisons, and this blue line, it shows the prison's capacity. Now, when we find that there is actually a huge number of inmates who are into the jail. So what has happened? The jail's occupancy has increased, and today many of the jails, they are overflowing. Are you getting? They have breached the occupancy. Now, if you see guys here, below the chart, it is talking about the occupancy rate. So blue dot is 2021 data, and the red dot is 2011 data. For example, Chhattisgarh, the occupancy was to 56%. Today, the occupancy is 149%. Anyhow, the occupancy is above the 100%. Punjab, fine. The same is the case of the Punjab. So basically the other states also. Okay. Now, when we talk about the occupancy, just a minute. When we talk about the occupancy, some of the states such as Chhattisgarh, they have very high occupancy. Okay. Now, guys, as the jails are overflowing, there will be many of the basic rights of the prisoners that will get violated. They will not get the basic accessibility. Okay. They will not get good sanitation. Okay. So such are the issues that are coming. So as the prisons are overflowing, beyond the 100% capacity, government need to make sure, number one, government need to enhance the jail infrastructure. And secondly, the number of under trials who are in the jail, their number is also to be reduced. Now, recently we found this thing that 76% of the inmates into jail are under trials. Under trial are those people who are in the jail but their crime has not been proved, and 76% people are under trials. Okay, so basically why these under trials are increasing in the jail? Because the people are not being given the bail for the basic offenses they had given. So bail should be given, and that particular thing was even discussed by the Supreme Court also recently. Okay, so there was the Satyendra Kumar Antil judgment in which the Supreme Court provided that give the bail so that the occupancy rate in the prisons don't increase, particularly these under trial rate. So that is just all about this particular article. In the article, these charts have only been explained. Okay, for example, in West Bengal, what is the case? In the Jharkhand, what is the status? Okay, Bengal, all these things are provided. Fine. So that is all about this particular article. So just see the chart, okay, and no need to go beyond that, okay, because the state level occupancy, state level rates are not very much required. Then moving to the next article. Okay, FedEx chair, okay, Ben Bernanke shares Nobel with two other US economists. So guys, this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 3, issues of innovation. So from the past 1 week, we are seeing that the Nobel Prizes are being given. Okay. Now guys, basically, I have told you this particular thing throughout the past week that the Nobel Prizes were originally given in the 5 categories, that is physics, chemistry, physiology or medicine, literature and peace. Then the 6th category of the Nobel Prize got added in 1968 when the Sveriges Riksbank, that is the Sweden's central bank, provided that a Nobel Prize in economic sciences should also be added. So a Nobel Prize in economic sciences got added, and today the 6 Nobel Prizes are given. Now the Nobel Prize is given into the memory of the Alfred Nobel, who was a Swedish chemist, engineer, industrialist. Okay. Now when we talk about the Nobel Prizes, fine, all the Nobel Prizes are given at Sweden except the Nobel Prize for Peace, because the Nobel Prize for Peace, it's given into the Norway, and they are presented by these agencies. So Royal Swedish Academy of Science, it provides the Nobel Prize in Physics, Chemistry and Economics. Nobel Assembly at Karolinska, it provides the Nobel Prize in Medicine. Swedish Academy provides the Nobel Prize in Literature, and the Norwegian Nobel Committee provides the Nobel Prize in Peace. Okay. Now, in the past 1 week, we have discussed already all these Nobel Prizes that have already been released. Okay. So, guys, if you have not seen it, okay, I had provided you when we discussed it. Please go and watch it if you have not seen. And if you have seen, then no need to again go and watch that. So, we have already discussed the Nobel Prize in Medicine that was given for the clean DNA technique. Okay, that we discussed into the last Tuesday. Then we have seen the Nobel Prize for Physics that was given in quantum mechanics. We discussed that also. We discussed that on Thursday. Then Nobel Prize in Chemistry was given for the click chemistry. We discussed it on Thursday. Then Literature Nobel Prize we discussed on Friday, and the Nobel Prize on Peace we discussed on Saturday. Okay, so the 5 Nobel Prize have already been given and already discussed. Now the 6th Nobel Prize, that is the Nobel Prize in Economics. Okay, so basically the Nobel Prize of Economics, the Sweriges Riksbanks Prize in Economics, it is also called as the Sweriges Riksbanks Prize in Economics because it is funded by the Riksbank. So it has been provided to 3 of the economists, that is the Ben S. Bernanke, fine, Douglas W. Diamond and Philip H. Dibby. Now why they have been given the Nobel Prize? Because guys, just a minute. They have been given the Nobel Prize because they have enhanced the understanding as what roles does the bank play in economy. Now guys, understand this particular thing. If you talk about the 2008-9 global financial crisis that came, why that particular crisis came? The crisis came because of the basically because of the some of the US banks that got failed. So if a bank will fail, there will be a lot of challenge on economy that will come. So if there is any instance that a bank is failing, government should intervene in between and should secure that particular bank run. Okay, so why they have been given the Nobel Prize? Because they have improved the understanding onto the role of banks in economy, particularly during the financial crisis. Okay, and they have also given the theory that why avoiding bank collapse is very much vital. 2008-9 entire crisis came because of the bank failure that happened. Okay, Lehman Brothers, fine, they have faced a kind of a bank collapse in 2008-9. Okay, so it has been provided that in an economy to function, saving must be channeled to investment. People's saving must be channeled to investment. Now, guys, here it has been provided that the people who had saved their money, they want instant access of their money if there is an expected outlay, if there is a kind of a crisis that is going on into the economy. And at the same time, the businesses who have taken the loan, they don't want to give the loan back immediately. They want that, okay, if the loan has been given to 20 years to them, they should have that particular money for 20 years at least. The banks provide a solution here. Okay, banks take the people's money who had given them the money, take the people's savings, give them interest rate, and they provide the people money whenever they need. And at the same time, they also giving the loan to the businesses. But if there is a kind of a economic challenge that comes and everybody starts to withdraw the money, and how the bank will manage that thing? So the government needs to give a stimulus in between, and government needs to save a bank. If the bank will fall, there will be very big crisis that will happen in an economy. So such kind of an understanding has been provided by the economic theories which have been provided by these three economists, that is the Ben S. Bernanke, Douglas W. Diamond and Philip Y. Dibby. So for this they have been given the Nobel Prize in Economics. Okay, so that is all about it. Now we'll move to the next article. Now, the space economy may touch $13 billion by 2025. Okay, so basically guys, just this thing can be used as a reference in GS paper number 3, potentials of space economy. Just as a reference, one line concept, you can use it in your answers. So basically the report has been released by the EY and the Indian Space Association, ISPA. So according to EY and ISPA report, the Indian space economy will reach to $13 billion by 2025. Fine, so which could be a very important, the space economy could be a very important dimension of Indian economy. Now the space economy is growing at compound annual growth rate of 13%. So compound annual growth rate of 13% is there in our space economy. And why it has happened? Because of the private participation, latest technology adoption, low cost launches that we are doing. Now in Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan in 2020, we brought the space liberalization reforms. Since then the private sector participation has increased. So by that particular thing, the space economy is enhancing and it will reach to $13 billion by 2025. So that is all, just you can use it in reference. And now we'll move to the next article. Address stigma in the mental health conditions, says Lancet Commission. Now guys, Lancet Commission, it is one of the world's most reputed health journal, and it has provided and it has released a report on the World Mental Health Day. So World Mental Health Day was observed yesterday, that is on 10th of October. Now they have provided that there is a kind of a stigma with the mental health. The people, if they have mental health issue, they think that the people will think them that they are retarded or there are a kind of a big problem. So there is a stigma. 90% of people having the mental health condition, they feel that they are impacted by that stigma, by that discrimination. Okay, so this stigma, that taboo is there. 80% people said that the stigma and discrimination can be more bad than the condition itself. The condition itself. Okay, stigma is more problematic than the condition itself. Okay, and 90% people said that media can play a very important role in reducing the stigma. Media can educate the people. So media should play a very important role. Now the stigma that is there, it can inculcate the exclusion, disempowerment in the people who are having the mental health condition. So we need to see the mental health in a more holistic manner. We need to see that mental health, it is not a stigma, it is not a taboo, it is a genuine condition where people need care. Now, it has been provided that particularly the women who are suffering with the mental disorder, they face even more stigma. They face even more stigma because of the deep patriarchal notions that are there. So we need to give them support. So therefore, government, international organization, healthcare providers, they all need to come together and need to provide the support that is needed to the mental health patients. Some of the countries have decriminalized the suicide also. Now guys, when we talk about India, in India also, before the 2017 Mental Health Act that came, okay, the suicide was criminalized, but now we have decriminalized. So such kind of an act such as decriminalization of suicide and giving the support, it is need of our, which should be focused. Okay, so this is a mental health report released by Lancet. You can use it again in your GS paper number 2, issues related to health. Fine. So that is all, and now we'll move to the next article. Pakistan to take part in closing ceremony of SCO anti-terror exercise hosted by India. Okay. Now guys, basically what is happening, now this is something which can be used into the prelims examination. Now what is happening? Joint anti-terrorism exercise. Joint anti-terrorism exercise. It is an annual counter-terrorist exercise that is held within the SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. In this, there is exchange that is happening, information exchange is happening, then there is the joint exercises that are done by the members. So joint anti-terrorism exercise is done under the SCO where countries share the expertise with each other. Okay. Now guys, best practices and build synergy between the counter-terrorism forces of the SCO, RATS. So within the SCO, there is a regional anti-terrorism structure, RATS. Okay, so to enhance the expertise there, these exercises carried. Now in India, the National Security Guards, NSG, it is hosting the JATE exercise. This year's JATE 2022 is being hosted by whom? NSG. Again remember, JATE 2022, who is hosting? NSG. And where it is being carried? It is being carried into the NSG Manesar. NSG Manesar. Now the stage 2 of this particular exercise has been going on between October 8 to 13, and here the countries such as the members of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Russia, fine, and India, they all are participating. So this particular exercise is going from 8 to 13, and in the closing ceremony, Pakistan has been sent an invitation and the Pakistan might join it. So guys, it has two important things. Number one, if Pakistan will join, there will be a kind of an arena that will open the dialogue between Pakistan and India. Right now, the Pakistan-India relations are really very bad. So such kind of an avenue will be opened up, which is good. Second thing is that it will enhance the cooperation under the SCO. The terrorism is a very big problem which is being faced by all the countries in the region. So such cooperation will be enhanced. Fine. So that is all about it. Fine. Nothing beyond that. Okay. So guys, I tell you always that you need to understand that which articles you need to go in too much detail and which articles are just to be seen on periphery. Fine. Now the mains practice question for today. So the mains practice question. The pricing and availability of oil and gas in the wake of Ukraine crisis continue to fuel global policy debates on energy security. In this context, discuss how it poses a challenge for India to pursue Atmanirbhar Bharat or Atmanirbharta in energy policy. So this particular article will be important for the GS paper number 2, geopolitics. Okay. So that is all guys about it. And with this, we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. Guys, I hope that you have understood all the articles and you are able to make sense of all the articles. So that is all for today. Now guys, we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves, and if you have liked the video, please do hit the like button, please do comment. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please take care.